Then 44% of all influencer partnerships are failing, and it's not because of the wrong influencer. It's actually because of the wrong brief. Yes, the creative brief goes a long way, and even if you've done all your due diligence, you've checked engagement rate, past sponsorships, etc., the brief can still sink it all, which is why I'll be going through in this video a couple of tips and pieces of advice that you can use in your own briefing to make sure all your influencers give your brand a really good ROI. Before we dive in, this is our team. Me and my wife started this, and we've got a couple of team members. We run campaigns with budgets from 5,000 to 10 and 50,000, ranging from 10 XOSs to 2 XOSs and everything in between. Now, the biggest problem is creators have too much information. If you give them too much freedom and don't even give them a creative brief, they're going to have too many options, and there's a high chance they're going to do a very generic approach. So instead, you want to give them prompts within a creative brief. I'll cover this at the end exactly on how you can make yours, or if you've already got one, a couple of tips and common mistakes that lots of brands are making, which are costing them a lot of money. Now, the second problem is when you actually give them too detailed of a creator brief. If you're giving them a script, it's going to feel like an ad. Now, I know most of you already know this, but I'm still going to mention this because these are two surprisingly common mistakes that some brands are still making. Make sure you use bullet points. You have everything simplified. You don't want to give them exact scripts. That's going to ruin all the authenticity and the connection between the influencer and their audience. The third big problem is you don't have a clear criteria of success. Now, campaigns will fail when the creator doesn't know what they're aiming for, just like you'll fail if you don't know what the goal is. So make sure that every single campaign, you have a very clear objective and the creators know exactly what is your objective so they can optimize for it. Okay, so I'm going to run you through 4 use cases right now. The first is conversions. I know lots of you are aiming for it, which is why I put it first. Make sure the goal here in the creative brief, throughout the creative brief, and I'll show you the creative brief optimized for conversions at the end. You introduce the product, you clearly state what it's for, and you have a very strong CTA, and there has to be a strong element of urgency. Okay? Now, you don't want to have open-ended questions and really long storytelling before the CTA, because a lot of people are going to skip it entirely. You want to scoop people up. We're going to take the action first step to buy it right away. Use case number 2 is you're just optimizing for free trials. Typically, if you're a software company, this is what you'll be doing. Now, you want to capture people with as low friction as possible with intent. So the strategy you use will be a little bit different. You want the creator to focus on how easy it was for them to start. You want to remove some perceived risk. And you want to make sure you reassure the viewers that this is an exploration. Because that is a big concern with people in software. They don't want to waste their time. They don't want to be sucked into something which will just be a complete waste of money too. Now, of course, you should emphasize all of these for any use case. However, I'm just telling you different criteria that you should double down on for these specific use cases. Now, the third thing is awareness. You want to introduce the problem first, and you want to really storytell. When you're doing awareness, you don't need people to sign up right then and there. You need people to understand the story behind your product, related with their problem, and ingrain it into their minds. And you'll do this by normalizing the pain, putting more emphasis on the pain point, the story, how they integrated this product as a solution. And you want to make sure that you keep it conversational. You don't have to do any urgent pushes necessarily for an awareness-based campaign. Now, the next problem that brands will face is compliance risk. And remember, these 3 use cases can be used interchangeably. These are just points that you can emphasize for each one. Now, what you want to do, and you want to make sure you're very clear on this, the FDA is strict with any advertisements. And if you are caught breaking any of the regulations, you'll have hefty fines. You do not want to diagnose any issues unless you have an FDA approved supplement that is able to do this. You don't want to replace medical advice. You don't want to compare to pharmaceuticals. That's a different game, right? And you don't want to use fear tactics. These are biggest common mistakes. Very simple. Just take all this, put it into ChatGPT alongside your brief and say, what amount of each is contained within my brief? And it'll spit out an answer and then you can use your own judgment. Now, what you do want to brief the creators is to speak from their personal experience, to educate and frame this product as a tool, not a cure. That will keep you in the green. And the next problem is a lot of brands. This is a big one. Lots of brands think this, that the creators actually feel confident about the brand's product. You'll be surprised how many times when a creator is trying on a brand's product, they see something that raises their eyebrows. They see something they don't like. Make sure you have clear two-way communication consistent messages. That way you pry this out of the creator and they can admit, hey, I didn't. Let me just show you an example. Let's say you're briefing a gut health influencer, your gut health supplement company. You want the creator to say this improves digestion, reduces bloating. But after the creator's experience, they don't really notice a change. So by saying this, they're sounding a little bit inauthentic, and the viewers will be able to sense that. So to fix this, and it's a prevention, make sure you message the creator before they do their brief, but after they've tried out the product, does it align with the talking points that we gave you? The creator will be able to open up and you'll be able to give them new talking points, or maybe say something like, it didn't help with bloating, but it helped with this instead. So it'll include the negative, but it'll replace it with another positive. The next problem is brands are focusing on themselves in the creator brief and not the audience. Remember, you don't care about persuading the influencer to buy. Your goal is to persuade their audience to buy. So don't focus too much about your brand story. Don't focus too much about anything else that they want from the product. Focus on what is actually going on in the viewer's head. What conceptions do they have of reality? What misconceptions do they have? And where would my product fit into their routine? This is such a good frame of mind. And when you start adapting this, you're going to notice your viewers actually pay attention. Now let's move on. Remember, you want to do audience first briefing, not brand first briefing. A good example would be, people assume this takes 30 minutes to set up. Show takes 3, right? And this is something they could incorporate into the ad. Bad examples would be talk about our mission, blah, blah, and our core value, blah, right? No one really cares. People care about how it relates to them. And if your mission is helping them accomplish something personal, that's amazing. Include that. Now, the next problem is the content is not reusable. It's not evergreen. Okay, so make sure in your design brief, you have clauses for repurposing, for whitelisting long-term use. Now, this is something that might overlap into the contract, so just be mindful of where you put it. Let's do a case study on Fume. I'm going to break down the exact quotes, the exact elements pulled from the creator brief we gave them, and then I'm going to break it down on why we included that. The first was the campaign goal. This was pure conversions. We wanted 50 plus redemptions per creator. And the second goal was to position Fume as a practical habit tool, not just a hype sponsor. And this prevents creators from just defaulting to a generic tone because we want them to position it in this certain way. So what we did here is just give the creator some reference. We want this to be a goal. We'll be happy if we get 50 plus. We won't if we get below 50. And this will give them a benchmark because remember, every creator wants repeat brand sponsorships. Now, the next is a product definition. Define your product in one clear sentence. If you get a lazy creator, they don't want to read through everything. This is the best thing you can do. Once they understand your product in one line, they'll be able to confidently speak about it. They'll be able to make maybe some adjustments here and there. So in this case, we use a flavor air device that replaces the hand-to-mouth habit of smoking vaping. Okay? So there's no nicotine in this one, no vapor, no electronics. That's the selling proposition. And people really relate with that, and that's why they're so successful. Now, the key talking points here, you want these flexible messages. You want to give them a bunch of bullet points, and then they can pick between 3 to 5 of them and include them in the video. So you give them enough flexibility that they can pick whatever they'd like, but you don't give them too much flexibility that they go and say things you don't want them to say. Because remember, when they say things that distance you from your target message, it's going to become harder to pull in that target audience that you want. Now, the next thing is tone guidance. You want to protect trust, okay? Now, in this case, we told the creators to have a quick, confident, slightly comedic tone, a casual, matter-of-fact tone, and avoid any dramatic, life-changing claims. Now, for the CTA, we gave them very simple rules. They would just be able to take this and put it into the description, keep it very standardized and very simple, and make it as simple as possible for the viewer to follow through on. Now, what's a must-have is visuals. Make sure you want the product in hand, you want the airflow dial close up, you want a base spin, and you want the QR code on the screen for at least 8 seconds, right? And then the minimal on-screen text, that's up to the creator's discretion. Very important because you want to reduce any re-uploads, which tend to kill engagement, kill views, and it's not a path you want to go down. Now, if you want the full campaign, I'll attach it right here for you to see.